Dear viewers, welcome to our channel GVS Bank Academy. Today I am going to discuss about RBI notifications. RBI circulars or RBI notifications from 1st May 2021 to 21st June 2021. These are very useful. These notifications are very useful for all the examinations, particularly promotional examinations and JAP, CAB also. Latest amendments they will ask in the examinations. That's why these notifications are very important. Priority sector lending. This RBI notification dated 5th May 2021. On lending by small finance banks. Priority sector on lending by small financial banks to non-banking financial companies, microfinance institutions. So, on lending by small finance banks to microfinance companies of non-banking financial companies. Through this route, small financial banks are allowed to achieve the priority sector target 10%. The small finance banks priority sector target is 75%. Out of 75, they are allowed to achieve through onward lending to NBFC MFI 10%. This is valid up to 31st March 2022. This is the latest amendment. Utilization of floating provisions. Utilization of floating provisions, counter cycle provisions buffer. Floating provisions means not against any specific provision, not against any specific NPA asset. That is called floating provisions. And any bank is maintaining additional counter cycle provisionings. That is there. Now, RBI is allowed to use these outstanding portion of 100% of floating provisions outstanding in the bank's books as on 31st March 2020. These provisions, floating provisions, means not against any specific asset, and counter cycle provisions. Whatever the outstanding amount, 100% of the outstanding amount as on 31st March 2020, that can be allowed for specific provisions for non-performing assets. With the prior approval of their respective boards, by taking their board approval, whatever the outstanding amount in floating provisions, counter cycle provisioning buffer is there, that amount is going to be allowed to use as NPA provision. That is the meaning of this. This utilization is permitted up to 31st March 2022. This question is very important for higher scales. Credit to MSME entrepreneurs. Credit to MSME entrepreneurs. New MSME borrowers shall be defined. Who is a new MSME borrower? Who is a new MSME borrower? A new MSME borrower is not having any credit facility with the banking system on 1st January 2021. So, new borrower is equal to a borrower, MSME borrower, who is not having any credit facilities from the banking system as on 1st January 2021. That is first point. Scheduled commercial banks will be allowed to deduct the amount equivalent to credit disbursed to new MSME borrowers. Whatever the credit facilities extended to new MSME customers, new MSME borrowers, this new credit sanction during the period is going to be deducted from their net demand and time liabilities. These whatever the new sanctions are there, that new sanctions are going to be deducted from their net demand and time liabilities for calculation of CRR ratio, cash reserve ratio. So, because of this, the bank's CRR, to the extent bank CRR is going to be, maintenance amount is going to be coming down. What is the period? 1st January 2021 to 31st December 2021. This, whatever the loans sanctioned from 1st January 2021 to 31st December 2021. This exemption is available only up to 25 lakhs. Whatever the loans sanctioned to new MSME customers, loan up to 25 lakhs per borrower and disbursement up to 31st December. So whatever the disbursements are there, new loans of 25 lakhs and above, 25 lakhs and below up to 31st March, that amount is going to be deducted from NDTL. So to that extent, the CRR calculation, CRR maintenance amount is going to be coming down. So three chances are there. Who is a new MSME borrower? Who is not having any credit facility from the banking system as on 1st January 2021. Second question, now what is the loan amount bank can give under this facility? Loan up to 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs. Loan up to 31st December. Second point. Third point, whatever the credit facilities banks are extending under this, this amount is going to be deducted for the calculation of NDT. These are the three questions. Resolution Framework 2. Resolution Framework 2, COVID related stress of MSME accounts. Two circulars are there, 5th May and 4th June. What are there? The borrower account should be classified as a micro, small and medium enterprise. Micro means investment up to 1 crore, turnover up to 5 crores. Small enterprise, investment 10 crores, turnover up to 50 crores. Medium enterprise, investment up to 50 crores, turnover up to 250 crores. That is there. The borrowing entity must have GST registration is must. Whatever the credit facilities of fund-based, non-fund-based, not exceeding 50 crores. One is MSME account, GST registration account, credit facilities not exceeding 50 crores. And the borrower account is standard assets as on 31st March 2020. The restructuring of the borrower account is started by September 30th, 2020. If any bank want to start the restructuring, it has to be started the restructuring by September 30th, 2021. And this has to be completed within 90 days. After starting, within 90 days, the restructuring process has to be completed. Upon implementation of the restructuring, bank has to make additional provision of 10%. The lending institution shall keep a provision of 10% of the outstanding amount, residual debt of the borrower, outstanding amount. Now, lending banks must have board approved policy. That is there. Now, this is there. Now, what I am telling is, these questions are very, very important for the examination. This is resolution framework 2. This eligible account must be MSME as on 31st March 2021. GST registration is mandatory. Loan not exceeding 50 crores as on 31st March. Standard account as on 31st March 2021. The restructuring process has to be started, invoked means started by bank before September 30th. And the restructuring process has to be completed from the date of implementation within 90 days. The bank has to make a provision of 10%. 10%. Each bank must have board approved policy for this resolution framework. So this is overall this is important for promotion exam and JAB also this is important. Now COVID resolution framework 2 stress related stress of individual and small business account. So this whatever we have discussed the slide is for MSME. The remaining is for individuals and small business. Small business. Individuals who had availed loan and advances for business purpose, loan up to 50 crores. Loan up to 50 crores. For business purpose, retail and wholesale trade also 50 crores is eligible. And these accounts not covered under resolution framework of 1 means earlier year these accounts are not restructured. These invocation of resolution permitted under this window by September 21. And bank can give a moratorium of maximum 2 years. Banks can give maximum moratorium of 2 years. And the resolution plan also provide for conversion of some portion of equity into debt. So under this important points are loan amount for individuals, small business, retail trade, wholesale trade, loan not exceeding 50 crores. That is one. And these accounts not covered under resolution framework of one means earlier, previous year. The largest for invocation of resolution permitted 30th June. And the moratorium for these accounts 2 years. This is the resolution framework for individuals and small business. KYC, amendment to the master directions of KYC, know your customer. Video based customer identification process, VCIP. They are asking in the all examination, JAB and promotional examination also. VCIP stands for video based customer identification process. VCIP stands for video based customer identification process. Is an alternative method of customer identification KYC process with online facial recognition and customer due diligence. So VCAP is coming days. VCAP is a very, very important topic. Accounts, both deposit and borrowal accounts opened using one-time OTP-based eKYC shall not be allowed more than 1 year. So by using OTP-based eKYC, validity is 1 year. After that, it has to be converted through video-based customer identification process. Very, very important VCIP. Now, all VCIP records, they have to maintain located in India. So, VCIP records and data management must be within India only. That is it. Then, regulated entities means banks shall adopt a risk-based approach for a periodic updation of KYC. Risk-based approach. Under risk-based approach, periodic updation shall be carried out at least once in 2 years in high-risk customers. Customer identification, KYC updation in high-risk customers once in 2 years, once in 8 years, medium-risk customers, once in every 10 years, low-risk customers from the date of opening of the account or from the date of last KYC updation. So, overall, KYC is important for all examinations. KYC, this is the latest guidelines. So, out of that, most important points is VCIP. For all scales, this is important. Banking Regulation Act 1949, Section 26A, Deposit Education Awareness Fund Scheme 2014. Interest rates payable on unclaimed deposits which has been transferred with the RBI. After 10 years of inoperative or unclaimed deposits, banks are transferring to RBI under DEF. And RBI is also paying interest on these balances. Now, with effect from 11th May 2021, RBI is paying 3% simple interest per annum from 11/5/2021. And 3.5% 1st July 2018 to 10th May 2021. During this period, banks are allowed to get 3.5%. Up to 30th June 2018, 4%. So, presently 3% from 11/5/2021. 1st July 2018 to 10th May 2021, 3.5. Earlier, 4%. This is very, very important and these are things. And Banking Regulation Act 1949, Section 26A means DEF, Deferred Education. This section is also important. So, this overall, this is very important for all the exams. Sovereign Gold Bond Scheme of the Government of, on behalf of Government of India, Reserve Bank of India taking care of issue of sovereign gold bonds. This is the guidelines dated 14th May 2021. Now they are asking in the examination, what are the prescribed application forms for sovereign gold bonds? For application subscription, form number A. Acknowledgement. After application, banks are giving acknowledgement through form number B. Customers can hold the certificate of sovereign gold bonds in form number C. Nomination form is form number D. Nomination is form number D. Form number D. Now this is also one latest development. Under this sovereign gold bond scheme, a investor can give up to two nominations. Two nominations. This question they are asking in the examination. Two nominations investor can nominate. Now, at the time of cancellation of nomination, what form we are using? This question in almost all bank examinations, they are asking this question. At the time of cancellation of nomination, what forms you are using means form number E. So, out of these all forms, nomination, form number D, bank investor can nominate two nominees. This is the latest development. And at the time of cancellation of nomination, what form we are using means form number E. This is one. Forms are very, very important. Scheduled commercial banks. Through RBI issuing sovereign gold bond scheme through scheduled commercial banks, through designated post office, stock holding corporation of India, and recognized stock exchange NSE, BSE. This question was also they are asking in the examination. Sovereign gold bonds are going to be issued through scheduled commercial banks, designated post offices, and stock holding corporation of India, and recognized stock exchanges are authorized to receive applications. And any delay on the part of the collecting offices, receiving offices to refund the amount to any applicant, or the application is rejected, for the delayed period, repo rate plus 2% penalty they have to pay. The receiving office branches, banks, they have to pay penalty of, for delayed period, repo rate plus 2%. Repo rate plus 2%. These are the sovereign gold bond. Minimum investment is 1 gram for individuals. Maximum 4 kgs for individuals and trust. For HEF, individuals and HEF 4 kgs. For trust, this is 20 kgs. That is there. That is separately we can discuss. Then prepaid instruments. Prepaid payment instruments. Prepaid payment instruments. Prepaid payment instruments. One question they are asking. Because why this is important? As of today, most of the payments are going on prepaid instrument. That's why this is important. Prepaid payment instructions mandating interoperability and increase the limit to 2 lakhs for full KYC prepaid payment instruments. The limit is increased to 2 lakhs. Earlier that is 1 lakh. Now they had increased it to 2 lakhs. Permitting cash withdrawals for full KYC prepaid payment instruments of non-bank prepaid payment instruments issues. That is also there. Now, this limit was increased to 2 lakhs. The future of cash withdrawal shall be permitted in respect of full KYC compliance prepaid payment instruments issued by non-bank means NBFCs issuers the following conditions. Maximum limit per transaction 2000 rupees. Cash withdrawal maximum 2000 per transaction and overall limit is 10,000 per month. Minimum 2000. Overall limit 10,000 per month. Number 1. Number 2. All cash withdrawal transactions through non-bank PPI performed using a card or wallet shall be authenticated by an additional factor of authentication. Through PIN or additional factor authentication, then cash withdrawals are allowed. Amalgamation of district central cooperative banks with state cooperative banks. This is a game-changing circular. Game means a very important circular. Now, through this circular, almost whatever the banks, district central cooperative banks are there, these banks are going to be amalgamated, merged with state cooperative banks. State cooperative banks. RBI circular dated 24/5. What are they? The basic regulatory criteria for amalgamation is the proposal should be in compliance with the legal requirements. Legal requirements means first first they have to pass a board of director resolution, then they have to take the NABARD approval, then afterward they have to take the approval of RBI. And past orders, rulings of any courts are there, they have to comply. The state governments will verify that there are no court orders prohibiting or staying the proposal of amendment. Before going for amalgamation, the state government has to say no court orders for prohibiting or staying the proposal. Now, financial parameters of the amalgamated entity. After amalgamation of the district central cooperative banks with state cooperative banks, that is called amalgamated entity based on notionally consolidated latest audited financial should be robust. It should have a CRAR, capital adequacy ratio above the regulatory norm, means more than 9%. For the district central bank, state cooperative bank, CRAR is 9%. So after amalgamation, the CRAR must be above 9%. Gross NPA after amalgamation, total NPA below 7%. Total NPA of the amalgamated entity is below 7% and the net NPA below 5%. Total NPA 7% below, net NPA below 5%. And the bank must have ability of adequate liquid assets. After amalgamation, the bank must be in a profit making and financial viable entity. So these are very, very important for, particularly this question is very, very important for scale 3 to 4 and 4 to 5 and above. Overall knowledge is important. After amalgamation, CRAR is above the required. Minimum means 9%. Gross NPA below 7%, net NPA below 5%, and availability of adequate liquid assets. And the state cooperative bank should have a satisfactory track record of regulatory compliance and supervisory, means it is having a strong regulatory compliances and supervisory compliances. This is about amalgamation of district central cooperative banks. Certificate of deposits, master direction, Reserve Bank of India certificate of deposits. This is so important. Separately, we had uploaded one video on this, but along with the major changes in the certificate of deposit by the RBI dated 4/6/2020. What are the major changes in this circular? Minimum face value of the certificate of deposit 5 lakhs and the multiples of 5 lakhs. So banks are allowed to issue certificate of deposit. Face value 5 lakhs minimum and in multiples of. Previously, prior to this date, 1 lakh face value. That's why these are the major changes. Earlier, RRBs are not allowed to issue certificate of. Now, from this date onwards, regional rural banks are also included, permitted for issuance of certificate of deposit. Number 2. Number 3, earlier buyback is not there. Now, banks are allowed to buy back the certificate of deposit from the date of issue only 7 days after the date of issue. If any bank want to take buyback, it can be allowed. And we had separately uploaded this. So, compulsory question for all scales certificate of deposit. Face value 5 lakhs in multiples of 5 lakhs. RRBs are also allowed. Earlier it is not there. Buyback after 7 days. Liberalized remittance scheme for residential individuals. Now, this liberalized remittance scheme is applicable only resident individuals, including minor and proprietorship firms. First, you have to remember this. Under this liberalized remittance scheme, in a financial year, individual can remit up to US dollar 2,50,000. This is normally. Now, what is the latest change? It has been now decided to collect the information and submission of data to RBI through XBRL system. Previously, we are sending the information to RBI ORFS, Online Report Return Filing System. Earlier, we are submitting ORFS, Online Return Filing System. Now, we are moving to XBRL, Extensible Business Reporting Language. Now, they are asking abbreviations 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. Abbreviations in JB banking paper also. ORFS, Online Return Filing System. Because from the latest circular only, they are asking the abbreviations also. So, ORFS, Online Return Filing System. Abbreviation first. XBRL, Extensible Business Reporting Language, abbreviation. XBRL, Extensible Business Reporting Language. This is a language for the electronic communication of business and financial data. This is the extension. Now, this is online, you have to submit. This is the investment by foreign portfolio investors. Investment by foreign portfolio investors. At the time of investment by foreign portfolio investors in India, first they have to take permission, registration with SEBI is must. SEBI is must with registration with SEBI in government securities. Investments by foreign portfolio investors, FPI, in Government of India securities. Government of India securities, central government securities and state developmental loans. Medium term framework. Every year, generally, RBI will issue. For the current year guidelines are, what are the current year guidelines? The limit for FPI, foreign portfolio investors, in government securities means central government. G6 means government securities. And state development loan means securities issued by state government. So both G6 and state development loans are part of SLR securities. You have to remember, government securities means securities issued by central government through Reserve Bank of India. State developmental loans shall remain unchanged at 6% and 2% respectively. The outstanding stocks in the market, out of that 6% in Government of India securities, 2% in state developmental loans. FPIs are allowed maximum. What is the limit for FPI in central government, Government of India securities? Outstanding securities up to 6%. And FPI investment state development loans, outstanding stock 2%. This is the current year. This is for current year. Previous year also same. The allocation of incremental changes in the government securities limit. This is only applicable to central government. The allocation of incremental changes. Incremental means from last year to this year. Last year outstanding to this year outstanding. The allocation of incremental changes in the G-Sec securities limit in absolute terms over the two subcategories, general and long, shall be 50-50. So long term 50, general 50. Means out of the total 6% in the central government securities, long term 50 means up to 3%, general 3%. So 50-50, long term 50, this is applicable only G6 means government securities. G6 means government securities. The allocation of incremental changes in the G-Sec limit. This question is very, very important. 3 to 4 and 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. This is the important points. This is the this PPT presentation is very useful for the forthcoming promotion examinations and JAB examination also. Thank you very much, viewers, for supporting to our channel.